Rob T here. Welcome to another exciting episode. This is the one where I just chill out of a pile of wood that I just cut up and chopped and chainsawed. In this episode I'm making a crate for my chainsaw. This is part of Vic's challenge, the Summer Builds 21. My chainsaw has no home, it just floats around. It has a shelf here and a shelf there, and it goes under there, and it gets lost, it gets kicked. It gets booted around, so I'm making a home for it. And hope you enjoy. I have some leftover fence palings from when I made that fence the other day, so I'm going to grab them. And one of them 1800 long, so one of them cut in half should be long enough for the sides and maybe the bottom. Another one. I have 4 of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, and there's another one here. Now let's get a couple of these inside. Rough sawn fence palings, really rough. So I'm going to put them across the jointer and run them through the thicknesser. Mainly just to kind of tidy it up so I don't get splinters and crap in my hands every time I touch this thing. Going to put on the crappy ripping blade, rip down those rough boards and get them nice and straightened up. So after all that, it went from a $3 piece of wood to a $4.50 piece of wood. Bit nicer now though. So this is the kind of layout that I'm thinking of. I've got the saw here, and in this space here I've got room for the fuel can. Over here I want to get my, the hell is that? The wrench thing. So I'm going to make a little place for the wrench. Also the bar oil. At this point I've milled up the fence palings and I'm just playing around with the layout really, seeing which ones look better at the front, at the back, and which orientation, seeing if any of them look good on the top as a lid, and just figuring out what I want to do next really. The triangle of commitment. This one should be ready to take out of the clamps. And that one over there. Probably give it another 30 minutes. People, internet people. Okay, I'm going to take this one out. And I'm going to use those clamps for this one. Okay, I'll take those ones out and take the other one out of the clamps. So this happened when I glued up the baseboards. Quite the scandal. Quite the scandal indeed. I'm going to have to trim that off. I decided to leave the base of it rough, but I'm just going to cut off these dags here. But I thought rough might be quite good if you know, oil and stuff is leaking out into the base. It'll absorb it a bit better, and freaking glue everywhere. Ready to glue and screw. So a couple of days of hot weather went by, and I came back, and that glue bot thingy had just kind of blown up and swelled up and erupted, and all the glue had come out and gone all over the place, and it was stuck to the bench virtually. So I just scraped it all off and chucked it in the bin, and now I'm back to using Titebond. I really like those Titebond bottles better anyway. They have a better dispenser on the cap, and then when you close the cap up, it clears that little slit where the glue comes out, and good to go next time. So happy to keep using Titebond, and I'll refill it with my big glue bottle when I run out. Just discovered that the lid for the box is about right here. The size is a really nice fit, but the box at the other end is actually wider. So there's this gap here, about 3 mil, 2-3 mil. That's a real pain in the ass. It's all made out of old fence palings and boards off my old green fence. So I'm going to stick a piece of quad on the back, and I guess that'll create a kind of a round over feature. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. This quad's a bit wide, so I'm going to rip it down and get rid of all that material there. The top looks fancy with that rounded over back, and she's hanging over a bit at either end now and at the front. So I'm going to just put a light pencil mark on the bottom and cut that off, and then I'll creep up on either end and get it nicely fitted lengthwise, and then I'll put on the hinges and then I'll mark the front, because remember that one end of the case is a couple of mil wider, so I'll need to cut that on an angle, but I'll probably just do that with the router with a flush trim bit. Until now I'd forgotten that this even happened, but because I glued that quad onto the edge of my lid, it made it too wide for my crosscut sled. So I cut off a bit just to make it a bit wider, and then I was able to fit it in there and get the ends cut off nice and squarely. So not much more to do now. I've got the box complete, and now I'm just making a few partitions which I just screwed in from the bottom. After that, it's time for bling! Oh, and I also made a tray for the chains, but it turned out kind of a mess. I don't really want to show it. I kind of need a CNC to do that nicely. You might catch a glimpse of it later on, but just ignore how bad that looks. Alright guys, cheers for watching!